guys, Sean T. Phillips here with our brand new DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shop there today. Taking a go out today, see what things came out, see what things are on sale. I know today though some of the big releases that come out are the film The Grinch, and I know there's a number of different retail exclusives of that. I believe Target has like a digibook of that. Best Buy has a steelbook release. Also the film The Girl in the Spider's Web, that one comes out today. And I have a really cool unboxing of that. Sony sent over these really cool items to show you guys. So I'm going to be showing you that at the end of the video when I do the review of the film. Also though, Widows comes out today, and since the first Tuesday of the month, Walmart always changes out the actual section and gets in a bunch of like indie horror films and comedies and all kinds of different stuff. So definitely look forward to seeing all the new stuff that they got in there today. Also though, at the end of this video is going to be a whole bunch of brand new DVD and Blu-ray reviews for some things I got sent to review and talk about for you guys. So definitely stay tuned for those. And as always too, let me know in the comments below, you know, what you guys thought of the films, if you guys have seen any of them, and you know what you guys thought of the movies themselves. But anyway though guys, let's get going and see what we can find today. Into Walmart we go. Yeah, I'm at the other Walmart that I go to every so often. Usually though, this one does really good with putting out the actual new releases and stuff. Some of the other ones in the actual section, like I said, since the first Tuesday, they always change the stuff out. Not everything is usually on the shelves. So usually though, this one has them all, so fingers crossed they're all out. Well, it's the moment of truth. Let's see if everything is put out. It's looking to me like everything is here, which is good. And like I said, there was actually quite a few different things today. Now though, oh no, they have them in there. I was thinking they took the stuff out, but they only have like one copy of each of these. But they do have a limited edition Walmart exclusive thing here. It has 16 Valentines Day postcards in here for The Grinch. That's for the Blu-ray edition. That one's $19.99. The standard edition is $19.96 as well. And they also have the 4K here for $24.96. But it's funny how they only have like one copy of each one like that. Also today, like I said, Widows came out, and that one's $19.96 for the Blu-ray and $24.96 for the 4K. I really like this one a lot. This is actually a really pretty cool movie. This one, I don't know much about this. This one here is $14.96 here. This one is Anthem of a Teenage Prophet. Like, I don't know anything about this one. If you guys have seen this movie though, let me know how this one was. That one, like I said, is $14.96 for the Blu-ray DVD combo and $9.96 for just the DVD. And then they have Girl in the Spider's Web here. That one is $19.96. I kept calling this Girl in the Spider's Web. I mean, yeah, Spider's Nest for some reason. Or I might have even just done it there. I don't know why I keep saying that. But they do have here a two-movie Walmart exclusive here that has the Girl in the Dragon Tattoo, the first film in the series. So that's pretty cool. That one is $24.96. One of the other things today is a movie here called Gosnell. I don't know anything about this movie at all. And I don't know anything about this. I think it's like a Dean Cain movie. If you guys have seen this one, let me know how this one was. Other than that though, All the Devil's Men, that released today, and that's $14.96. There's a big thing coming by, like a big cart. Yeah, big. But yeah, one of the other things today was Cloverfield Paradox. And here comes another one. Yeah, you always see these things getting dragged around. But they have the Cloverfield Paradox here. And this one has like a bonus voodoo copy of the first film. That one's $14.96. And they also have the 3-movie collection, which is a really good price for all 3 of the films together. And that one's only like, that's only $17.96 for all 3 of them. So if you guys don't have the films already, that's actually a really, really good price to get all of them together. Also though, Scooby-Doo and the Curse of the 13th Ghost, I'm going to be talking about that at the end of this video. That one was today. And I don't know if these ones were today or not. But let's see though, if in the actual section over here, this has all been changed out. Yeah, it's looking... I don't know. Yeah, I think there is some things changed. I think some of the stuff, yeah, there is some new things in here today, like Bernie the Dolphin. That one released today, and Mail Order Monster. That one released today. I'm going to be talking about that at the end of this video. I believe this one is a Walmart exclusive title here, and also Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel. That was today. I believe these 2 anime films were today, and then another Dean Cain movie with Christy Swanson, Winter's Dream. I believe this was today. Yeah, there's actually quite a few new things. Interview with God, that might have been a little while back. Who Are We Now? I think that was released today as well. Like I said, like a lot of stuff. The Long Dumb Road. This is one that I saw like some pictures online. Looked kind of interesting. I don't know anything about it though. If you guys have seen this one, let me know how this was. And this is the one that came out today, Granddaddy Daycare. This is like the third film in the Daddy Daycare series. It's not one of the ones where you have to have seen the others to understand it or anything, because it's like totally unrelated. I'll be talking about that at the end of this video. This one here, A Private War, was today. It's another one. I have not seen a trailer or anything for this. If you guys have seen this movie, let me know if this one is worth checking out. Also here, this one is here, a woman called Moses. Yeah, Moses. I don't know this one. If you guys have seen that one too, I think that's like a classic blaxploitation film. I don't know though. I'm not 100% sure. See anything else that's new. This one, Shine, I believe this one came today. Like I said, a lot of different stuff. Sleeping Corpses Lie. I gotta get these back. I'll put it here for now. Sleeping Corpses Lie. This one was today. Let's see, House of War was today. I think yeah, Black 47 is Hugo Weaving film. I believe that was another one that was today. Yeah, Mermaid Lake of the Dead. This is a new Scream Factory release. This one came out. I'm going to be talking about this one at the end of this video here. Also, one of the other exclusive, Walmart exclusive releases was this film here, The Toy Box. And I really like this movie. Another one I'm going to be talking about at the end of this video. And this one here, Kelly Brook, Black Magic. That's today. All these ones for pretty much $9.99. Let's see any other ones. I think this is here today, this Tom Sizemore movie. I think this is an Asylum film. This one, Nazi Overlord. Yeah, a lot of new things got changed out. Let's see, the American Nightmares. This is from the guys who directed, the Tales from the Hood, and I really like this. This is Danny Trejo is like the host. He hacks these guys' webcam, and they're like watching these horror shorts and everything. And Brendan Sexton III is in here. Clarence Williams III. Who else is in here? Chris Kattan. I really like this. This is a really cool anthology film. Another one today was You Might Be the Killer. I'm going to be talking about this at the end of this video as well. A really cool slasher film throwback. Another one, the Walmart exclusive one, was American Poltergeist. That one released today. And Ranger, that was about a week or so back. I see there's actually a couple more things over here. Yeah, a lot of stuff today. This one here, Ghost Hunter, I think is a BBC film here, as well as The Guilty. I'll be talking about this one at the end of this video. And then Double Impact. And the one thing with a lot of these releases that's cool is like exclusively at Walmart, usually they have like 2 extra movies. So like with this one here, Pimped, they have 2 extra films in here as well. So that's a cool thing when they include these ones, because if you get these usually on like Amazon and stuff, it just comes with the one film, not the exclusive bonus disc with the other 2 films on it. But yeah, definitely a lot of new things today. Into Target we go. I see over here though a standee for the Grinch. They're all still rubber band together. That's really funny. They didn't take their rubber bands off of these like things in the shipping, but it's like the the standee for it. But I'm not seeing any of the exclusives. Let's see if there are. No, the other side, I don't see any of the exclusives either for the Grinch. Let's see if over in the actual section though they have any of those out over here. That was like a really random odd spot for them to be sitting. I've never seen them have like the rubber band still on the actual like shipping stuff. Over here though, we'll see. Yeah, the exclusive one here is $22.99. It has in here exclusive 26-page gallery book and activity book. Yeah, for some reason I thought that it was like a digibook. It wasn't a digibook. But over here though, they have, Widows. The 4K here is $24.99. It doesn't look like they put out though the Girl in the Spider's web. That one doesn't look like it's out, but it's weird. It has like Overlord listed here. For some reason I didn't think that was out today. I'm not sure if that's right or not. I can't get a phone signal in here at all, so I can't check this. But I feel like that was like next week or something. Maybe it was today, but I'm pretty sure that was a different day though, Overlord. Other than that in here though, I don't see anything else in here too different. They do have the Scooby-Doo and the Curse of the 13th Ghost, the original movie. Other than that though, not seeing anything else in here today though different. Yeah, there's like a real internet dead zone in here, but I looked and it looks like it's actually overloaded now till February 19th. Like, it's weird they had those, in that spot already there, but they didn't actually put them out yet, so I'm sure that was just like a mistake or something, but just funny to see that. And this past weekend I saw a couple different films. The first one I saw was Miss Bala, which stars Gina Rodriguez, and I thought Gina Rodriguez did a really, really good job in the movie, but it's one of those movies I just didn't absolutely love it, to be honest. And I felt like, too, there's a lot of things in it that could have like been explained, because she's like dealing with like this one cop and like early on in the movie, and like he's like not listening or anything, and I feel like she could have explained this to him a little bit, what was going on. And I don't know, like it was essentially, though, her character goes to Mexico to go to this help her friend out who's going to this beauty contest, and she's there to kind of help her with her makeup and just sort of see her, because they hadn't seen her in a long time. And like the one night before the contest begins, they go to this club, and these bad guys come in there and try and kidnap somebody, and then her friend goes missing, and she's like, and all horrible stuff happens in this club, and she's trying to tell the cops, have you seen her? I can't find where she is. She's not picking up her phone. And it's like this crooked, weird cop who like takes her to this area, and she gets involved in the very beginning of this movie with these group of these bad guys, and they're forcing her to do something, and then she gets framed. And like I said, this is all in the first like 15 minutes of the movie. She gets framed, and then it's like she has to try and clear her name, and I don't know, like I said, it was one of those movies I did not like it too much, and I was kind of even like very rarely am I in a movie when I'm kind of like waiting for it to be over, and it was kind of like that. I like looked at the phone once or twice, and I'm like, okay, I know this movie's about an hour and 40 minutes or whatever it was, and I don't know, for some reason it just wasn't doing it for me. If you guys saw that, let me know what you thought, but I don't know why. I know it's a remake, so if you guys have seen the original one, though, let me know how the original was. The other one that I saw was the film Stan and Ollie, which stars Steve Coogan and John C. Reilly. Both of them did an amazing job. The movie was the story of Lauren Hardy, and it was basically, though, in a time when they hadn't done anything together for like 15 years. I think they did like one little movie together, but not really much, and their kind of careers had kind of fizzled out, and they're at the point in their lives where they're trying to get this other movie going, so they're going on tour in Europe. It's essentially about them and their tour and what they're going through and getting booked in these terrible clubs, and then like small clubs where no one's showing up, and they have to do all these like promo events to try and bring people in. And it's like, it was kind of like what happened to them was the same thing that happened to Three Stooges, where like, their shorts and their films and stuff were getting shown again, but they weren't getting paid. So it was kind of like the same thing. So they both needed money. I thought it was a really, really well done biopic. Absolutely loved that one. If that one, is playing anywhere near you guys, I would highly recommend you guys check that out. But let me know in the comments below, though, if you guys saw either of those movies, what you thought of them, or what movies you guys saw this past weekend, if you guys got to see them. Into Best Buy we go. Yeah, like I mentioned, though, they have the Steelbook here. That one's $24.99, the collectible Steelbook here. It's the same image of the Grinch, sort of, but it's him like doing that kind of like the thing with his hands here. So it's like a similar one. These ones have him doing this kind of face. But this is actually a pretty cool one, and inside it has like so kind of like a cool backdrop, like almost like that Pee-wee's Playhouse cherry chair. I just got a copy of this one to review, so I'm going to be reviewing this one next Tuesday. I hadn't seen this one, so definitely look forward to checking that one out. And that one's, like I said, $24.99 for that. The standard Blu-ray is $19.99. They also have a 3D edition of this movie as well. A lot of people always ask for me to mention if there's a 3D edition, and that one is $24.99. They have a standee over here for How to Train Your Dragon, the newest film in the series, and they have these exclusive, I don't know if they are exclusives of How to Train Your Dragon, the first film and the second movie. Both of those ones here are $19.99, and then they have some other How to Train Your Dragon ones here, like holiday, something like a holiday one and short film collection, double feature one of both of them, and then I think these are new slipcovers on these for $9.99 each. But over here, though, in the actual section, one thing I saw that was funny was now, like last week, these ones didn't have them, but this week now they have the slipcovers on the Suspiria Blu-rays. Last week they only had like one of them here, and it didn't have the slipcover. But other than that, though, this film here, Poetic Justice, this one released today, on Blu-ray, and that one's $14.99. So anyway though, guys, that's all for my DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shopping video today. Like I always say, if you guys enjoy these shopping videos, definitely give this video a thumbs up. Thanks again for all the support as well, guys. Also though, let me know as well in the comments below, what you guys picked up, if you guys picked up anything on DVD or Blu-ray today, as well as let me know as well what you guys thought of the DVDs and Blu-rays that I reviewed at the end of this video. But anyway though, guys, now stay tuned for a whole bunch of brand new DVD and Blu-ray reviews. And the first one I got here is from Arrow Video. It's a movie here called Horror Express, which stars Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. And it's basically though about Christopher Lee's character, who is this scientist explorer who ended up finding this like fossilized frozen specimen that's sort of like a human like kind of monster creature, gorilla, kind of a weird type creature thing that he discovered that's from thousands and thousands of years back. And he ends up taking it and putting it into this crate that he's locked away and covered with a tarp and everything, and he's taking it on this train to transport it to another location. But of course though, you find out in the very beginning of this movie that this creature that he's found is not dead, because right at the very beginning of this train station, somebody looks inside the crate and dies. That's the thing with this creature. If you look at it, you immediately become blinded and you start like bleeding out of your eyes, and it's all this crazy stuff happening. But of course though, this creature is taken onto the train, and then people on the train start dying off because like this creature knows how to pick the lock and gets out and everything, and like everyone's like, look, like I said, if they see it, they start bleeding from the eyes and everything. And the movie kind of has a small kind of like slight aspect to like a Murder on the Orient Express kind of whodunit kind of movie, a little bit of that kind of a vibe with like the dialogue and some of what's happening in it. And like everyone is kind of like wants to see in this crate, and Christopher Lee's character's like, oh, it's just a fossilized specimen and all this kind of stuff. But it's a really, really fun movie, one I had never seen before. Has a whole bunch of features on here, has a brand new 2K restoration for the original film elements, so it looks really, really good here. Has a comedy track on here, as well as a bunch of different interviews on this one, archival introduction to the film by film journalist Chris Alexander, theatrical trailers, so a whole bunch of different stuff on here. So a really, really cool release. Also has a booklet in here which has some pictures from the film and some stuff about the movie and all that kind of stuff. So like I said, really pretty interesting movie here here. The next one, this is one I've always really liked, and this movie always creeped me out as well. It's a very, just like the whole idea of this is just a very creepy concept, and what this woman is doing is very, very creepy. I remember the first time I saw this movie, how much this creeped me out. And it's a movie from Takashi Miike, and it's called Audition. And this is essentially though about this guy who's like hasn't had luck with like dating, or hasn't really had any like success with it in a very long time. And his one friend is this producer who like produces, puts together films and stuff like that. And he says to his friend, well, what we could do is put together this fake audition for this movie, and it's not really a real movie, but it's a way for you to see girls, and maybe this would be a way that you could find someone to date and things like that. If they think that you're a producer too, and you have ties to the film business, that might be a way for you to find somebody. But of course though, they start auditioning people, and these girls are coming in, and he sees this one girl that he likes, and of course though, he starts to kind of like follow up with this girl and everything. And of course though, he comes to find out that there's some very, very crazy, not very good things about this girl, and it is an absolutely insane movie. I've always really loved this one. I think this is probably my favorite Takashi Miike film. Like, he's done a lot of different movies, but this is one, to me, I feel like is just like my favorite one to watch. This has on here though a brand new 2K restoration from the original Vault elements on this one. Has a commentary track on here with the director as well as the screenwriter. A brand new commentary on here with Tom Mess, who's the biographer on Takashi Miike, talking about the film and its source novel, an introduction by Takashi Miike, The Ties That Bind, a brand new interview with Takashi Miike. So a whole bunch of brand new features on this one, and also has a booklet in here as well with some pictures from the movie and facts and stuff like that about it. But a really, really crazy movie. If you guys have not seen this one I would highly, highly recommend you guys check out. The next one here from Arrow Video is a Herschel Gordon Lewis film here called Color Me Blood Red. And this is, this one is essentially, though, about this painter who's, like, not really having a whole lot of luck with his paintings and everything. And one way or another, he ends up just, finding out that he likes to paint with blood because, like, something happens to his girlfriend and she gets cut and he starts, like, painting with her blood. And it's essentially, though, is he's, becomes, like, starts to feel like he's creating art, with human blood. So then he is going out and, like, killing people to paint pictures with human blood. A very, very crazy movie. And on here, though, it has the high definition transfer on here, as well as the bonus feature on here, 1967, Something Something Weird, as well as introductions to the films by Herschel Gordon Lewis, audio commentaries on both films by Herschel Gordon Lewis, as well as a Herschel Gordon Lewis 1966 children's musical, Jimmy the Boy Wonder, as well as a Go-Go Lounge 1966 short film on this one, dance short film, Color Me Blood Red outtakes, so lots and lots of different features on this one. And if you guys don't know Herschel Gordon Lewis movies too, he was always known as the godfather of gore. He was one of the first people to make super gory, crazy films that were like before its time, before people were really making gore, like films that were focusing on gore. And that's really what his films were known for, was being like some of the, pretty much the very first to be films that were all really featuring these insane gore effects. Next two ones here, just want you guys know that these ones are available from Arrow Video as well, and these are both from the Arrow Academy line. This one here is a movie here called So Dark the Night, and on here, this one has a brand new 2K restoration of the film by Sony Pictures on here, as well as a commentary track on here with critics Glenn Kenny and Farron Smith, as well as A Dark Place. Joseph H. Lewis at Columbia critic. Sarah Smith provides background analysis on the film, as well as theatrical trailer. And in here as well, this one has a booklet with some pictures from the movie and stuff like that as well. And the other one here from Arrow Video, as I want to let you guys know is available as well, is a movie here, and this is from the Arrow Academy line as well, and this is My Name is Julia Ross. And this one on here has a brand new 2K restoration, the film from Sony Pictures, as well as on this one, it has a commentary by noir expert Alan K. Rode. Identity Crisis, Joseph H. Lewis at Columbia, has a talking about analysis and background of the film, as well as a theatrical trailer on this one. And this one has a booklet as well in here with some pictures from the movie and all that kind of stuff here as well. But like I said, some really cool releases here from Arrow Video, and just want to let you guys know that these ones are available. Now the next one here is from Shout Factory, and this is from Shout Factory's Scream Factory line. This is a movie that I have not seen this one, and I was really cool to watch this again. I hadn't seen this one since 2001, since it's first released on DVD. This is a movie here called Valentine, and this is the collector's edition here. And it's essentially, though, about in the very beginning of this movie, you see like this it's like a middle school prom, and there's this kind of like goofy kid there who is like trying to ask out these girls there, and it's kind of like the group of kind of like the popular girls, and like he's trying to talk to them, and they're kind of giving him all kind of grief and like kind of making fun of him and everything. And then he ends up talking to this one girl, but then like these guys like dump punch on him and stuff, and really he's basically, this kid is really bullied and like they, you know, really picked on terribly. And years later you catch up with these girls, you know, I think it's 13 years after, you know, the middle school prom. And it's essentially, though, the prom, it wasn't like a prom, it was a Valentine's Day dance, but essentially, though, catches up with them years later, and these girls start getting, and they're all still friends and everything. In the very beginning, too, you see Katherine Heigl's character, who is one of the friends. She gets killed by somebody. And this is the very beginning of the movie, the first, like, 10 minutes. But essentially, though, they all start getting these Valentines. It's kind of like, look like they're normal Valentines. Then they say something like, whoa, when you're dead. And, like, they have, like, stuff that, like, kind of, like, to creep them out and everything. So it's essentially, though, these girls are getting killed by somebody wearing this Valentine's mask. And it's kind of like, well, is it this kid in the, you know, in the beginning, this kid that was bullied? And it's one of those movies that kind of makes you wonder a lot of times, like, who could be the person behind the whole thing? I really like this movie. Denise Richards is in this movie. Marley Shelton, who, you know, was also in, like, Bubble Boy and a lot of other movies that I really liked as well around this time. But I don't know, I like this movie. I feel like this is a really fun slasher movie, and one you really don't hear about too much at all. And it's just essentially, though, about like these girls getting, like, you know, taken off and, you know, by this character, and you're kind of wondering who it is and if this guy. And there's also this crazy thing too, like this killer, anytime it like is getting ready to kill or just kill somebody, you see like blood running down its nose and stuff. It has on here, though, a brand new 2K scan from the original film elements of the movie, and it has a new commentary track track on here with the director, as well as filmmaker Don Casarelli, as well as author Peter Brasek. The director of this also directed Urban Legend, which Shout Factory released as well a couple of months back. Has on here, though, tons of new interviews. It has interviews on here with Jessica Caffell, Denise Richards, Marley Shelton, interviews on here with co-writers of the film, as well as the composer, editor, audio commentary, archival commentary with the director, vintage cast and crew interviews, and a theatrical trailer. But just like I said, a really, really fun slasher. Also has a reversible artwork underneath for the original poster artwork for the movie as well. The next one here is from Shout Factory Scream Factory line as well. It's a movie here called Mermaid Lake of the Dead. This is a Russian film, and this has on here, though, the the original Russian language version one, and also has a dubbed in English version of the movie as well, for the guys who were wondering. But essentially, though, this is based on like a legend in Russia as well, like a true, like, kind of tall tale, like horror fable about like this woman who had died, and how she died in this lake, and she kind of haunts the lake. And if anybody like this woman is like is kind of cursed for all these reasons and stuff, but if she ends up falling in love with somebody, she's like stuck in this lake, but she falls in love with anybody, she basically, if the person she falls in love with doesn't, return the love to her, she ends up basically cursing that person and then cursing the person that they like. That's essentially what it is. And it's essentially, though, about this guy who is with his girlfriend, but, they end up, by this lake, and the mermaid in the lake, who is the cursed woman who's in there, ends up falling in love with him. And of course, he, is with his girlfriend, who he really loves and everything, and he doesn't return the favor of liking her. And essentially, though, it's basically what happens, though, is his life becomes a total nightmare, and the girlfriend has to try and figure out how to stop this whole thing, or she's going to be cursed and kind of taken down to the lake and stuff. It's a really, really crazy concept. There's some really, really creepy stuff in this, some really, really creepy images and visuals and stuff in this. Just a creepy movie all around. Like I said, all about this, cursed woman who in this lake and everything, and basically what's happening. But definitely one I recommend you guys check out here. And the next one I got here is from Shout Factory's Shout Select line. It's a movie here starring Hugh Grant and Andie MacDowell called Four Weddings and a Funeral. And this is essentially, though, about Hugh Grant's character and his friends, and they kind of come together for each other's weddings, or like people they know's weddings and that kind of stuff. And it kind of cuts to different types of times in their lives throughout a couple of different years or so when they come together and meet for the weddings. And they kind of like, all the weddings, some of them have like kind of weird things that have happened, or like kind of problems and like all that kind of stuff, why they're coming together and everything. And Rowan Atkinson's character starts off as like the early days of being a priest, and before he ever thinks he's going to be a wedding, handle weddings, and then it ends up having him like handling a wedding, and it's all like screwed up, and he's saying everything all wrong and everything. Rowan Atkinson is really, really funny in this movie. This is around the time too when he was like really doing like Mr. Bean. I think it was like 94. The writer of this, I believe, also did Black Agador, who, was a series that Rowan Atkinson was on as well. But essentially, though, Hugh Grant's character is someone who kind of never thinks he's going to get married, and he's never really thinking of anything like that. And essentially, though, at the one very first wedding in the beginning, he ends up seeing Andie MacDowell's character and immediately starts to notice her and starts asking around about her. And essentially, though, they kind of in the very beginning get together, and it's like a one-night thing. And then at the next wedding, that was a couple months or so later, he sees her again, but then things have really changed in her life, and he's like, when he sees her again, he's like thinking how he really liked her and really misses her and everything. And it's essentially, though, he's starting to really have feelings for her, and it's like because of something that with her, it's like really changed things for him, what he's going to do and everything. And like I said, it's a really interesting movie, really, really well written movie, well acted, just a really fun movie. And like I said, Rowan Atkinson is great in here, as this like priest, and like all these kind of weird things that happen, and him like messing up and everything. Just a very, very fun movie. Has on here a brand new 4K scan of the film from the original camera negative. Looks really, really good. Like really great picture on this one. As was a new wedding photographer interview on here with the director of photography on this one. Commentary track on here with the director. The wedding planners documentary, making of featurette on this one, as well as deleted scenes, promotional spots, and theatrical trailer. The next one here is from Lionsgate, and this is the 4K Ultra HD edition here of Hunter Killer, which stars Gerard Butler and Gary Oldman, and Common is in the film as well. Essentially, though, this is like it's kind of like an old school submarine film, like some of the movies that were like in like the late '80s and like in like the '90s. Some of these like there was a couple of different submarine films around that time, and it has like a real throwback kind of action submarine film. Like I said, I haven't seen a submarine movie like of this kind of style in a really, really long time. And essentially, though, it's about like in the very beginning, it's set over Russian water, and this other sub shoots down this American submarine, and the Americans don't know what had happened, and they're kind of because it's kind of vanished off the radar, and they have to send someone in there to try and find it. So they end up sending in Gerard Butler's character to captain this sub really quickly, put this together really as quick as they can, this whole ship and everything. So he ends up going out with this group too, who are pretty much on break for the next few days, but they have to go immediately. They go out there, and at the same time, though, they're starting to realize that the president of Russia is going to be in that same area where this is happening, really close by. And they come to realize, though, that something is planned against this the Russian president. And essentially, though, the Americans have to try and rescue him because of what is going to happen. And there's this huge threat of this terrible war that could happen if they don't get him back. And it also deals with too the American troops who are coming down from the on a plane into the area to try and scope out the area and then to get to the president as well. So it's basically on land as well as in the sub under the water with Gerard Butler's character, but actually a really, really cool action film here. It has on here though a Hunter's Killer, Declassifying Hunter Killer, which is a two-part documentary on here, which has since the movie's like a lot of special effects and stuff like that, it has a whole bunch of different behind the scenes on all of that kind of stuff and kind of putting together the whole movie, as well as a commentary track on here with the director. Now 4K wise though, definitely if you guys have 4K capacities, this one looks really, really good. It's a very, very heavy special effect film, also very atmospheric, and just the whole look of the sub underwater and everything, and in the sub itself looks really good in 4K. Because the big thing I always say with 4K is you really notice is the contrast levels and the brightness levels. So it's the whole picture all around is just a much, much brighter picture, and also really, really works on all the underwater sequences. The next one here is from Lionsgate as well, and this is the sequel to Norm of the North, and this is Norm of the North, Keys to the Kingdom. This is the second film. I actually thought the first one was a fun movie. And this is the second one, though, is basically about the character of Norm, who is this talking bear. And he ends up, in the first one, he had to save his town, his area where he lived, because there was this developer who's going to be putting these houses and stuff there, and he had to stop that. And in this one, though, he is going to become, because of what he did and saved everything, the king of the Arctic, and he's getting ready to be given the crown and everything, and he's going to be the head of the Arctic. And essentially, though, at the same time, he gets a call back from New York. They want him to come back there, that they're going to honor him because of he's a talking bear and everything, and they want to honor him in New York and give him the key to the city. So he ends up going back there, and some of his his animal friends go back there with him. He's also going back to see the one girl who he was friends with in the first movie. But essentially, though, when he gets there, somebody ends up, right after he gets his key to the city, is dressed like the Norm of the North's character, and he's going around and stealing all this money from these banks and stuff. So they're all coming and searching for Norm, and he has to figure out how to kind of clear his name and try and figure out exactly who is the person dressing like him in a suit and going around and robbing these things. There's a whole bunch of other things as well, but it's definitely more of a movie for kids. But if you guys were a fan of the original film, I would definitely say this is worth checking out. The next one here, I'm going to have an unboxing of this as well. Sony sent over this cool box to show you guys as well, but the movie here, though, is The Girl in the Spider's Web here. Now this is the sequel to The Girl in the Girl in the Dragon Tattoo, which was the American remake. And this is essentially, though, the fourth movie in the series. It's technically it's the second movie in the American remake, but it's the fourth book or something like that. That was what I was reading. It's technically the fourth story. So it kind of jumps from the first story and it goes to the fourth story. At least that's what I had read. But essentially, though, in this one, though, it's not Clive Owen, or Rooney Mara. playing Elizabeth in this, which I love Rooney Mara in the first movie. So I really like Claire Foy though. Claire Foy, you know, was in Unsane, and she's from The Crown, but I really loved her in Unsane. And it's a different kind of you know, performance. It's not exactly the same. I still don't think she did a good job in this. The movie though isn't have the kind of as much of the same style that the original, you know, the original remake had, because it was directed by David Fincher, and David Fincher is like really amazing. But the director of this though did the Evil Dead, you know, remake, as was Don't Breathe, and I really like his movies as well. It's got a different look, and there was one really creepy sequence with this guy who takes off his nose, and it was like one of these things you're never going to forget. But essentially though, this is about the character of Elizabeth, who is a computer hacker. She gets sent by Stephen Merchant's character to try and hack into this this system, to try and take down this system and like get the information from it. But before she can finish it, she can't open up the file because it's like locked. And then people come after her, and it's essentially about her, you know, these people coming after her, and her figuring out how she's going to stop this whole thing, and kind of that's essentially what it is. And the people that are behind this group, the thing that she's trying to get into, are like a really terrible bad group of people who do horrific things. Like I said, it's a very different movie than the you know, the David Fincher one, but still, I think it's still worth checking out. Not perfect though, but it has on here though deleted scenes with a filmmaker commentary, featurettes on here about the stunts, making of on here, as well as commentary, like I said, a commentary track on here. Oh yes, yeah, commentary track, deleted scenes with a commentary track, as was Claire Foy talking about becoming the character of Elizabeth. But here though, there's an unboxing here that Sony sent over. It's this cool box here that says Property of Elizabeth, and it says like in case of emergency. So this is all supposed to be like an emergency kit if something bad happened. And it says in here like like life is a game of chess. You will be a pawn or a queen. In desperate times, being resourceful means using any tool necessary for fight or flight. Thankfully, Elizabeth, Claire Foy, the girl with the dragon tattoo, was kind enough to share her own first aid kit. And it says on here, uncover all the assets of your journey ahead. But it says, you know, don't really use these things, as you know, if you really had a bad situation. But in here though is a staple gun. So it has a staple gun in here, as well as a little like Absolute vodka liquor bottle thing here, and it's got like the red cross on it. This thing was really cool. This is a like a chess piece, but inside of here, see if I can open this. Inside it had a it's like a flash drive. So it's a flash drive, and it says "Girl with the Girl in the Spider's Web" on here. So that's a really cool thing. I actually really like that. You know, always love flash drive kind of stuff. And it also has in here a thing of liquid super glue. So there's a really cool little promo pack thing that they sent over to promote the movie. And the next one here is from Paramount, and this is the movie, the 4K Ultra HD of the film Overlord. And this is one I really liked. And this is J.J. Abrams produced this film. And this is a really like it's a mix between like a war film, like there's like a normal kind of a war movie, but then mixed with a zombie movie. that it takes this like, and it mixes it together in such a cool way that I really liked. And it's also got vibes of like Reanimator, especially with the gore. It's got total throwbacks to like 80s movies with the gore effects and everything. But essentially though, these troops come into this one area, and they're trying to like investigate the area, and they believe that there's this like this building there that's like planning something. They have to kind of get to it and see if they can basically they have to destroy this broadcast tower, which is like a radio tower. But end up coming down there, and the town is all like abandoned, and essentially, and there's like the weird there's like the Nazis and stuff there, and the people who are in the town that are still there are kind of like all under the rule, and they have to do what they're saying. But they end up like the troops end up coming into this one house, and they find this girl who's kind of helping them and hiding them away and everything. But essentially though, they have to try and get down to this bunker, and it's like what ends up happening in this bunker is nuts. Like I said, it is a crazy movie, and it's just like I said, it's if you guys like things like Reanimator and everything, it's got total throwbacks to that film. But it has on here though a behind the scenes on here, with a whole bunch of different behind the scenes featurettes on the movie, 4K wise as well. Looks amazing. Definitely one I would recommend if you guys have 4K capacities. This is a very gloomy film, and the 4K really brings out like the you know, colors and everything to like, because there's like the really super dark scenes and everything, you know, and some of these creepy stuff, and like I don't know, dark scenes and stuff like that really benefit in 4K because like I said, it boosts the colors and also the contrast levels and everything. But one I would highly recommend you guys check out. Really cool movie. And the next one I got here is from Universal, and it's Granddaddy Daycare, which stars Danny Trejo and Reno Wilson. George Wendt is also in this movie, as well as Barry Boswick. Clint Howard's in the movie. Essentially though, you know, this is in the Daddy Daycare series. It's like the newest film in the series, but it's a standalone movie. But essentially though, it's about this writer who lives with his wife and his daughter. And essentially what ends up happening, though, is Danny Trejo, who is his father-in-law, ends up moving in with them because he ended up accidentally burning down the house, and he's, like, going through, like, early stages of dementia, so he's, like, forgetting things and everything. They find out that about him early on in the movie. But essentially, though, he moves back in with them, or moves in with them, and it's a real awkward thing because, you know, the husband there, he's trying to write this novel, and he had, like, a successful book, like, 5 years ago, but it's been 5 years since his book, and he's, like, been writing this book and having like terrible time with it and having no luck or anything, and they end up owing all this money because he would have had money if he would have finished his current book, and he didn't. So when he comes up with this idea one day when Danny Trejo's character's friends come over and stay there, the one woman says, "Oh, I really appreciate you taking having one of Danny Trejo's character's friends come over and taking care of him for the day. Here's $100." And he comes up with this idea. He's like, "Oh, well, if I have all these old people come over to my house, I can start charging only $100, and this can like solve all of our problems. We can make all this money and everything." But essentially though, they start off this without a license, and this guy's coming around and he's like, "You don't have a license and you need to," saying, and so they have to panic to figure out how they're going to get a license. It's essentially though them having to watch all these old people at the house and kind of the wacky things that happen and kind of the problems along the way and everything. I thought it was actually kind of a fun movie. It was a different kind of role for Danny Trejo in this one. Like I said, his character was going through like early stages of dementia and everything. But I liked a lot of character actors, like I said, were in this movie, and I thought all around it was just like a fun movie. I would say definitely if you guys are a fan of like the actors in this one, definitely the one that's worth checking out. The next one's here. I'll have a link where you guys can order these ones for the best price. They're all from a website called Movie Zing, but this one is a Sony Pictures release, and this is Fright Night. This is the brand new Blu-ray release of Fright Night. This is an absolutely amazing vampire movie. If you guys have not seen this movie, it's a must-see. It's essentially though about this guy who moves next door to this kid, and the kid becomes notices that there's something really off and weird about this guy, and he starts to suspect that he's a vampire, and he's like telling his friends about it, and telling his girlfriend, and they're all looking at him like he's nuts, but he's like really convinced, and he's trying to tell the Roddy McDowall's character, who plays a Peter Vincent, like a vampire hunter on this late night horror show where he's like the horror host, introduces like cheesy movies and everything. He's trying to tell him about it, and it's he basically though this kid is like totally convinced that he's a vampire because of things that he's witnessing and everything. And it's just a really great movie. When it comes to like vampire movies, like my favorites are Lost Boys, Near Dark, and then Fright Night. I feel like Lost Boys and Near Dark are kind of tied, because like, and sometimes I feel like I like Near Dark a little bit more because there's some of these amazing sequences in that, but I don't know, they're all kind of tied. They're all just amazing movies. This also stars in here, Amanda Burse is in this movie, was in the Married with Children. And I also love Stephen Joffrey's in this movie, and Roddy McDowall playing the horror host in here. But on here, though, it's got some new features as well, at least new to Blu-ray features. It has on here the You're So Cool Brewster documentary. I believe one of the other new ones was first ever Fright Night reunion panel at Fear Fest. And then some of the classic features, it has a Tom Holland writing horror featurette, as well as Roddy McDowall from Apes to Bats featurette, vintage EPK featurettes. There's like some behind the scenes footage, theatrical trailers. But a movie, if you guys have not seen this, definitely a must watch. Next one here is from Sony as well, and I'll have a link, like I said, for where to order this. This is a film from John Singleton called Higher Learning, and this has got an amazing cast in here. This has got like Jennifer Connelly's in here, Ice Cube, Omar Epps, Michael Rappaport, Christy Swanson, Lawrence Fishburne. Lots and lots of people are in this movie. Buster Rhymes is in this movie. And essentially, though, this is all about it's like a character piece about all these characters who are starting off at college, and it's like their first year there, and it's dealing with like they're dealing with all sorts of kind of problems, and like Michael Rapport's character kind of like starts off there, and then he ends up getting in with these like this bad group, this terrible group, and it's like what they're trying to like get him to do, and it's like the school is dealing with all these problems with racism and like bad, like all sorts of terrible things that are happening, and like, you know, and it's like sort of like all about like this, I don't know, it's like kind of like I said, it follows around all these kind of people and bad things that happen, and their first year about trying to figure out like where they fit in there and all these sort of things, but just a really well made movie here. And I always like these kind of character piece movies. This has on here though a director's commentary on this one, and the next one here is from Universal. I'll have a link as well where to order this one as well for the best price. It's a movie here starring Michael J. Fox, Kirk Douglas, and Nancy Travis, and it's Greedy. This is a movie that I always thought this was a really fun movie. I had not seen this movie in such a long time. But essentially, though, this is about this family kind of really brown-nosing Kirk Douglas character who, like, they kind of think is going to die, and he has all this money and everything. And they're all in his family. It's kind of them trying to figure out how to make sure that they end up in the will, and like they leave him the most amount of money. It's kind of about all the kind of wacky and like ridiculous things that are going on. And Michael J. Fox's character is kind of set in there because he likes, you know, Kirk Douglas's character really likes him, and he's the one in the family that they kind of feel like gets along with him the most. And it's just kind of all about all these crazy things. It's got a really great cast in here. You know, Ed Begley Jr. is in here, Phil Hartman. It's just a really, you know, fun movie. If you guys have not seen this one, definitely one I would check out. The next ones here are all from E1. It's a movie that stars Mishka Barton and Denise Richards called The Toy Box. And I like this movie a lot. I thought this was actually a really cool movie. It's essentially, though, about a killer RV. And, like, this serial killer owned this RV. In the beginning of this movie, you see, like, this terrible murder that happened in this RV. And this family ended up getting the RV because they're going on this trip with the father. And they're all, like, going together. And they're kind of, like, not most happy about taking this RV trip. But they want to see the father and everything. But like the air conditioner doesn't work and everything. But of course, like I said, they didn't know that this RV was owned by this serial killer, and it's a haunted RV, and like they're driving out in the middle of the desert and everything, and they have all sorts of problems along the way, and they end up picking up Mishka Barton's character and her brother. I think it was her brother, and you know, then they all get like locked. Basically, it gets into an accident, and they get like trapped out in the middle of the desert. And essentially, though, this RV is like going after and killing them in these weird ways because, like I said, it's the haunted RV. And I don't know. I just thought too, it just all around was a fun movie. I thought too, Mishka Barton did a really good job acting this movie because it's one of those movies where it could be like super cheesy and kind of like sort of like goofy kind of acting, but like she did a really good job and played this like super serious, and I thought it worked. And it's got like kind of a Hills Have Eyes sort of vibe a little bit, like with the RV aspect. And I don't know, I like these kind of movies set on the desert. And I don't know, I really did think this was a fun movie. It has on here though a commentary track with cast and crew as well as a trailer and behind the scenes. Next one here is a movie called American Poltergeist, The Curse of Lilith Ratchet. This is essentially, though, about this woman, you know, this curse of this woman who ended up, like, killing her husband and cutting off his head. And then years later, this guy who was, like, I'm trying to remember because I watched this one, like, a month or so back, but it was, like, he has, like, a horror podcast show. And, like, these girls who are, like, a fan of it end up coming over to his house, and they kind of, like, start to investigate it because they found this box. I think that's what it was. It was a box they found, and, they found this box that they believe was owned by, you know, the Lilith Ratchet's character, from the legend, and they start kind of investigating and stuff. And of course, though, this horror podcast guy is like, oh, this is going to make a great podcast, like looking into this whole thing. And of course, it's not a good thing looking into the whole thing. And Lilith Ratchet has kind of come back and going after them and killing them and everything. Just a fun throwback slasher. This movie, though, I like this movie, and there's some really goofy stuff in this, but it's a movie called The 65th, and this is about like I mean, goofy because, like, some of the dialogue was really goofy. But, like, basically, though, this family is, like, seeing this, like, guy who's wearing this hood and stuff kind of lurking around, like, their barbecue and everything, and then back at their house and stuff. There's, like, these long scenes of them, like, preparing food and going, that's not the way you cook the greens. You didn't cook them right. You didn't wash them correctly. And, then, like, these scenes are going forever talking about, like, the way you're cooking the collard greens and you didn't do them correct. And, like, I don't know, and, like, a lot of the dialogue was kind kind of like ADR'd later, but like it was kind of amazing because it was like just so ridiculous, some of it. But essentially though, like like weird things start to happen, and like really, like essentially though, you see this character like lurking outside the house and like wondering what is going on, and it deals with sort of like paranormal type things, like people getting thrown across the room and everything. It's a strange, like you're trying to figure out what all of it means and everything, but not really something you can explain too well, but just like a fun, very goofy movie though. And the next one is from E1 as well, and it's a movie called Mail Order Monster. And this is about this kid who is bullied really bad in school, and like she has like these kids that are bullying her and everything, and she ends up making this like sees this kit in a magazine about, you know, creating your own like kind of like bodyguard monster type thing. But she ends up like getting this kit and makes this robotic monster essentially, to kind of help be her friend and kind of like defend her against the bullies and that kind of stuff. And it's just a nice like sweet film though, about like this kind of her and this friendship with this creature that she not really a creature but this monster that she ends up making, or a robot that she makes. And it's just kind of, that's essentially what it's about. And she also has like kind of like like problems at home as well, and so like that. And it's kind of just a whole big thing about her just kind of like sort of helping her with this creature that she made. The next one here is from Go USA. It's a movie called Haunted Hospital. This one has on here the English dubbed version of this one as well, but it's like I said, Haunted Hospital. I don't know how to pronounce the other part down the bottom though. But essentially though, this is about these vloggers who do they do things when they like go and spend the night and like for 24 hours, kind of like in certain like abandoned places and everything, and it's like their challenge, and they do these like goofy videos like, oh, have we spend the night here for 24 hours and all this, and they are planning on going to this haunted hospital where there was like these deaths there in the past, and like really strange things that happened. And it's kind of these guys going there with this one girl who does like beauty makeup kind of vlogs and stuff like that, and they go in there, and of course though, when they get into this place, and they also like got let in by somebody who like had some weird stuff happen to them in the past, but they end up like taking him to the place, and they're like, oh, you're not going to show my face and stuff, you're going to blur me out, right? And they're like, yeah, we will blur you out. It was totally impossible the way they were filming it to blur him out the whole time, because they're talking to him and everything and all the scenes. But essentially though, when they get in there, they start to encounter some very, very creepy things in here. Kind of has like a Grave Encounters kind of vibe a little bit to this one. But if you guys like kind of found footage, in haunted, in like, haunted asylums and stuff like that, check that one out. The next one here is from Screen Media, and this stars Allison Hannigan and, Fran Krantz, I think that's how you say his name, who was in, Cabin in the Woods, and a bunch of different movies. He's been in a lot of stuff over the last couple of years that I've liked, and this is called You Might Be the Killer, and this is one I've heard a lot about, this one. And essentially, though, this is about this guy who is a camp counselor, and this, he ends up, waking up, and it starts off with him like covered in blood, and he's like, oh no, someone's coming after me, someone's gonna kill me, and he calls up Allison Hannigan's character who works in this comic book store, who's his friend, and I believe he works there with her as well when he's not doing this camp job as the counselor, and he's saying like, someone's coming after me, and you know all about horror movies and stuff. What should I do? Where should I hide? But then little by little, like in the first like 15 minutes of this movie, it's starting to look like maybe he is the killer. And he's like, well, because she's saying, well, why do you have blood on you? If they, when these people got killed, you said you saw them get killed, but you weren't that close, so why are you all covered in blood? And then he looks down, and he has the knife in his hand, and he's starting to think, maybe I did this. And then the survivors of this camp are coming after him. So it's kind of played all kind of in different orders. It like starts off like with him when he's like, covered in blood, calling her up on the phone, and then it cuts back to the first days of the camp, and so it cuts like throughout the movie, like different spots and stuff like that. But if you guys are a fan of like slasher movies, kind of has a little bit of a vibe of that movie The Final Girl a little bit as well, but music wise and everything too, it's got like a throwback classic kind of score as well on this. I don't know, I just thought this was a fun slasher movie. This one here is from Screen Media as well. It's a movie here called Intensive Care. This is about a woman who was a she was special ops, and she kind of retired from that and kind of has gotten out of doing that. And she's working as like a nurse for this, like an elderly care nurse. And essentially, though, these people there are planning on robbing this person because they find out that they have money and everything. But of course, though, little do they know that this woman there who's the nurse has all this training and everything. So it's essentially, though, they're coming in there and she's basically going and kind of like coming after them and everything, and trying to survive and everything, but kind of also kind of getting revenge on them. And like she knows all these kind of skills, so there's all these kind of crazy, it's got like kind of like Liam Neeson kind of Taken kind of stuff, that's, you know, the kind of skills that she has. So these people who are coming there planning to rob the place really are like messing with the wrong woman, and it's not a good thing for them. Just a really crazy movie here as well. And the next one here is from Magnolia, and it's a movie here called The Guilty. And this is essentially, it's kind of like a movie like Buried or something like that, where it's all set in, or Curve, where it's all set in like one setting. And this is all set in a, kind of like in the police precinct, where they would do like operator calls, where they would, like, the person that they call says, you know, would tell the cops, oh, you need to send someone to this area, you know, because of this, and there was, you know, an accident here and things like that. So this guy who was a cop, who ended up, because they talk like a little bit about what had happened, he was demoted to being just the person who answers the calls and kind of, you know, connects them to the correct person, or tells the other cops about what had happened. But he gets this call about this girl who was kidnapped, and essentially, though, it's all about him in there, and the connection, the phone gets like cut off, and he loses the call, and he starts to realize that there was something really to this, and it's about him trying to figure out exactly where this girl is, and trying to track her down, and trying to help her, and kind of trying to kind of redeem himself in a way because of being kind of cut down to be working in this kind of a position where he was a cop and all that kind of thing. Actually a really well done like character piece. Like I said, it's all in this room, and it's all done with him over the phone and the phone calls and everything, in a really interesting way. This was all put together here. The next one here is from Warner Brothers. They sent over a free copy of this one to let you guys know that this is available. This is the brand new Scooby-Doo film here, Scooby-Doo and the Curse of the 13th Ghost. And this is a kind of a sequel, though, to a series of Scooby-Doo that was from the 80s that lasted for 13 episodes, and it is like the brand new continuation movie to that. And the original had Vincent Price in the the series, and of course Vincent Price passed away years back, and they have a new actor here doing a very similar voice to carry on the character, of Vincent Price. Essentially, though, this is about the Scooby-Doo and the gang trying to track down these ghosts that were in this kind of chest thing that had gotten out, and it's about them trying to track them down. But unlike with a lot of the when it came to Scooby-Doo, a lot of it was always people, like, it wasn't really ghosts. It was like people in sheets, or like really intricate kind of ways to kind of fool people and stuff. It was actually like usually someone behind it. These ones, they think, or maybe they really are. You don't know until you see the movie, though. But it seems as if it's real ghosts that are out, and it's them trying to track them down. But a really fun film, especially if you guys are a fan of the Scooby-Doo series, and if you guys know the original that this is a follow-up to as well. And it has on here, though, 2 vintage cartoons episodes. The next one here is from Viavision. This is an Australian release. This one is also region-free, so you guys can watch this one anywhere. There's no region code locking or anything. You guys can watch this one in America or Australia or anywhere. No, you don't need any specific region-free play or anything to play it. But this is a series here called Future Man. This is the complete first season. And I believe this airs on the U.S. on Hulu, I think. But I just started watching this now, and this is Josh Hutcherson's character. And he's like this guy who's like a big video game fan. He loves playing this game that is like really impossible to beat. And he's always trying to beat this game and not really having any luck. And he gets stuck at this one last level. But in the first episode, he ends up, finally beating the game. And then when he beats this game, the 2 characters from the game are actually appear in real life and say, you finally beat this game, you're the one who can help save humanity from the end of time. And these 2 characters, he's like thinking, what is going on here? Is this like a prank that his friends are pulling on him because they know he's obsessed with this game? And he's just like this janitor guy. But essentially, though, he ends up going, because they have this time machine, it's them going back in time, trying to figure out how they're going to stop this terrible event from happening that destroys humanity. It's like them getting into all these wacky encounters and everything. And it's like also really some dirty stuff, and it's like really wacky, crazy humor, and like Aquafina's in this, some of the episodes. And like I said, I just started watching this. This is from Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, who are like behind this show, and just a really fun show. If you guys have not seen this one, highly recommend you guys check this out. The next one here, and this is from MVD. And this is VHS Lives 2 Undead format. And this one, I actually am interviewed in this one. It's a documentary all on VHS collectors in the VHS format. Danny the Cinema Stalker, he's in here. You know, Danny Cinema Stalker, he's in here getting interviewed. Kyle Rappaport from YouTube, you know, he's interviewed in here as well. So a couple of different people I know interviewed in here. So if you guys are fans of VHS collecting, this kind of all talks about kind of people's memories of VHS and like their members of renting them, and people show like their VHS collections, some of their favorite horror tapes, kind of like VHS memories. You know, it's like some of their first memories or some like weird memories they have of VHS collecting and all that kind of stuff. So if you guys are a fan of VHS, you know, really cool documentary here with lots of different interviews from actors, directors, fans, all that kind of stuff in here. The next one here is from Dark Sky Films. It's a movie called Possum. This is a really, really trippy movie. It's essentially about this guy who has this bag and he comes with him, and he comes back to his old childhood home, and in this bag though he's got this like spider-like like weird puppet thing. And you find out more and more about this guy as it goes along, but it's a really trippy movie about him essentially though. It's kind of like he gets back to this house, and like when he gets in this house, he starts kind of thinking back to his past and kind of remembering all these weird things. This guy also, like, there's these creepy scenes of this puppet coming to life, and it's got, like I said, it's got this human face in it. And it's one of these movies, it's like a slow burn, kind of slow build-up movie, but just all these crazy things happening, and like a really, really stylistic, and like really just the way it's shot and everything, amazing cinematography. Like I said, not something you can really explain too well, but a really, really well acted, just a very, very creepy all-around film. Now the last one here is from Gravitas Ventures, and it's a movie that stars Ice-T called Cross the Line. This is essentially though about this family of all these girls, and a couple years back, their mother had died, and they had this flower shop that they had run, and the mother had worked there, and I think the father might have in the past as well. And essentially, though, the older sister is kind of trying to keep the business going, trying to keep everything afloat, and kind of like helping sort of support the whole family. But like the family is having all sorts of kind of problems though, and the one younger sister though, she's starting to get mixed up with this bad crowd, and T's character is trying to kind of like use the business and like deal with drugs there and all this kind of thing. And it's essentially though all these kind of like the family just starts going through all these kind of problems, and they're all kind of happening around the same time with the sister, and then like with these drugs, and then the one getting arrested. And it's basically though this family drama about all kind of problems, and just the one sister trying to kind of hold everything together and keep everything together the best that she can. But a really well acted family drama film here. But anyway though guys, that's all for the review portion of this video. Thanks again for watching, subscribing, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.